Hey everyone, this is Friedel Hagaraja Raven. I'm here with my recap and reviews of the comic books that I ended up reading this week. So I'll try to make this quick, but no promises. Anyway, we are going to open up with Black Panther issue number 4, and I have been enjoying the current Black Panther solo series because, as far as I can tell, this current arc is going to make T'Challa face certain consequences for his actions, which kind of makes sense because, yes, we know that he is basically the head of the nation, but considering the position that he's in, there are basically in the real world there are people who are in similar positions who end up making certain decisions, and those decisions then end up coming back to bite them in the long run. I think that's what's happening to T'Challa right now, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the writer is going to develop T'Challa after this arc is done. So this book is by writer John Ridley with art by Juan Cabal, if I'm pronouncing the name correctly, with Ibrahim Mustafa, with colorist being Matt Miller. So in the previous episode, we saw that T'Challa decided to come to Araco, and he ended up meeting Storm, and we found out that Gentle was one of T'Challa's sleeper agents, and T'Challa ended up talking to Gentle about how he needs to be safe and that the other sleeper agents are being attacked. And I'm like, you know what, T'Challa? Storm is going to find out, and yes, in this episode, in this particular issue, we found out that yes, Storm knew that something's up between T'Challa and Black Panther, and I'm like, of course she knows, especially after Storm and T'Challa talked about how they need to not keep secrets from each other and trust each other, and Storm is like, yeah, she can tell that T'Challa is in trouble, but she wants him to actually ask for help, and maybe he will, or maybe Storm will just have to swoop in for a save. And after T'Challa is leaving Araco, we actually get this panel where Storm is like, Gentle, after I left T'Challa, I know you went to see him, and you are going to tell me everything the two of you talked about. Understand? Yeah, she's like every single thing. So as the story continues, and when T'Challa comes back to Earth on Wakanda, he finds out that Shuri got attacked, but she was able to put up a shield in order to save herself from the explosion. And then Shuri is the one who ended up figuring out that, you know what, after going through the attack patterns of the people who attack your sleeper agents, I have deduced that yep, they are Wakandan, and the suits that they're wearing is basically synthetic vibranium. So T'Challa is like, So I guess Wakandans are involved in this, and yeah, this is where T'Challa ends up growing a bit paranoid because he feels that Omolala, I guess that's her name, is basically betraying him, and he's like, well, you were saying that you fell in love with Yahi, but you ended up cheating on him, and she's like, well, it's not my fault. It was because of your design. I was alone. I could only meet Jai like once a year and whatnot. And T'Challa is like, I don't trust you. So this is where these two fight, and of course T'Challa wins because he is freaking T'Challa, and she's like, well, I want you to look into my eyes and tell me that I betrayed you. And then Shuri comes in, and Shuri's like, you know what, T'Challa, you don't have to kill her yet, and if she tries something, we all will kill her. And I'm like, I don't think that she is the traitor, but let's see what happens. And all of this could be an act. All of this could be an act. We don't know. Maybe it was part of T'Challa's plan to fight her because he thinks that someone is keeping an eye on him. But let's see what happens. So the next issue that I'm going to talk about is Night of the Ghoul by writer Scott Snyder, and I was provided a free digital copy of this comic book for review, and the opinions I've shared are my own. So this is the penultimate chapter. Issue number 6 is going to bring this story to a close, and this story is basically Forrest trying to get the hell out of that medical clinic, but before he can do that, he also needs to figure out how to save his son Arson, who is trapped in one of the cellars in the basement. And yeah, the ghoul is coming out. Merritt is like, Forrest, you need to run. And again, another very enjoyable issue. And I like the fact that Merritt ended up getting, not Merritt, my bad, Forrest ended up getting a bit of help from I think she's one of the nurses here, and she just started working, and she doesn't actually know what's happening, and she's like, you know what, your son is probably downstairs in the basement, in the maintenance basement, so you should go there. And of course Forrest goes there, and while that's happening, the woman ends up taking Merritt to the car outside, and Forrest's like, you have to wait for us, I'll bring my son back in a hurry. And yeah, things kind of work out and kind of don't, because Forrest is able to save his son, but the ghoul is basically coming out right now, and the Order of the Fly give chase. And as they're trying to escape, this is where one of the guards ended up shooting the doctor. Merritt gets shot as well, and then Forrest's wife comes in, and yeah, it was a very fun issue, and I'm looking forward to seeing how everything is going to conclude in the finale. And as far as the past is concerned, we get these scenes where a young Merritt is trying to help his father, and the Order of Fly ends up attacking them too. So basically, we are getting two attacks. There's an attack from the past, and then we get a similar attack in the present. And yeah, this is where as I mentioned, this is where Forrest's wife, or maybe it's his ex-wife. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I think her name is Grace. Yeah. So Grace comes in, and Forrest is like, you know what, you need to take Arson away from here, and I'll take the doctor and Merritt to the hospital. And Merritt, and yeah, as they drive off, we find out that the doctor or the nurse, she's dead, and Merritt is like, well, I got shot too, and I won't be able to make it to the hospital, but I need you to take me to the studio where everything happened, so I can tell you why the studio went up in flames back then. So again, a very intense chapter in my opinion. I'm looking forward to seeing how everything is going to end in chapter number 6. So the next book that I read was Dark Knights of Steel, issue number 5 of 12, by writer Tom Taylor. And yeah, this was another interesting issue, and I think that the fan theory that a shapeshifter is involved somehow, I think that holds merit. So moving on, we see, let's see, the credits. Might as well read the credits, right? You should credit the creative team. So written by Tom Taylor, artist is Yasmin Putri, colors by Arif Priyanto, letters by Wes Abbott and whatnot. And yeah, cover is by Dan Mora. So the issue opens up with Zala coming back, and Zala is back, and of course Clark is like, oh, you're back, what happened? Why didn't you come sooner? And Vala is like, well, I needed to clear my head a bit, and everything. And yeah, you can really tell that, you know what, the Zala that we saw in the previous episodes, basically going on a rampage, it's not the real Zala. Again, a shapeshifter is somehow involved. And then we get to see Harley going to meet Ivy, the queen of the forest, because she needs help. And Ivy is like, well, I'll help you if you stay with me. And Harley is like, well, I would love to stay with you, but you know that I have a life outside the forest, and I can't do that, and I need you to respect my decisions, but I do need you to control the forest and command it to offer some defenses. And Ivy is like, for you, I'll do everything. And as these two are talking, Ivy is like, well, I noticed something flying above head, so they go and check it out, and it turns out that Wonder Woman has come here. And Ivy is like, you shall not pass this forest. And we get this very, very interesting scene between Wonder Woman and Ivy, as Ivy is trying to hold back Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman is like, you know what, Ivy, I can kill you. And Ivy is like, yeah, sure, you can kill me, and I can grow fungus inside your body. I can make thorns pop out your eyes. So what do you want to do? And Harley is like, wait, let's not do that. Let's not escalate the situation. And because of the ruckus that's caused in the forest due to Wonder Woman attacking Ivy, we see Zala and Kent arrive, and yeah, Zala is like, let her go, and Ivy is like, no, princess. And Harley is like, please. So after Wonder Woman has been released, we get to see Wonder Woman and Zala have a conversation. And yeah, Wonder Woman is like, well, you are being framed for killing Black Lightning's son. And Zala is like, it's not me. And Wonder Woman is like, well, I trust you, but my mom will have to side with that particular kingdom. And you know what, if push comes to shove, let's try and be on the same side. And again, as I said, I think that a shapeshifter is involved somehow. Because then we cut to Batman, and Bruce is with Alfred, and Alfred, because they ended up finding a kryptonite shard in the previous issue, and Alfred also told Bruce the truth about his paternity. This is where Bruce ends up meeting with Clark, and he's like, "Well, I found this kryptonite shard. It's encased in lead, so it doesn't affect us." And Bruce ends up telling Clark about how he is related, and both of them are basically half brothers. And Clark is like, He ends up stabbing Batman with the kryptonite, and Batman is like, "What are you doing?" And Clark is like, "Well, it's our world now. There can be no challengers." And he ends up throwing Bruce to the ground, where he faints. And again, the fact that when Clark opened up the kryptonite from the lead encasement, he wasn't affected. I think that this isn't the real Clark, and this is basically the Martian Manhunter, but I could be wrong. So with Bruce down, he ends up being found by the Kents, and I'm like, oh, like, writer Tom Taylor has some very, very interesting ideas when it comes to these Elseworld stories, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this one will progress. So then I ended up reading Nocterra by writer Scott Snyder and Tony S. Daniel. And yeah, Nocterra has been a very, very fun comic book. I really like the premise of how the entire world has been encased in darkness, and there are creatures roaming around. And then we have the Nocturnes, which is basically this mercenary team out to kill people, I guess. But yeah, and also I really like Bill as an antagonist. So, okay, so here are the credits. Scott Snyder, Tony S. Daniel is the artist. Okay, moving on. So we actually open up with this scene, where a very intense scene where we see this man running towards this encampment, and there are a whole lot of lights here, and the man is rescued because he's being pursued by monsters. He comes in and he gets to learn about the history of this place, how there were mass killings here, but now everything has changed and everyone is trying to live in peace. And yeah, this is basically Bill, and Bill is like, well, I am more interested in how things used to run here previously. And he ends up shooting a lot of people, and I'm like, Bill, why? Why would you do that? But then again, I'm like, he's Bill. Of course he's going to do that. Then we cut to Emery. And Emery is basically saying that even though he got cured, he still seems to have this weird link with Nox, I guess, the higher dark being, and that he can still hear whispers. He's not able to understand them completely, but he knows that something is happening. An army is being built, and they need to be ready for the upcoming war. And then we get to see Bill trying to talk to his god, the Nox, the being, and it's basically quite. It's large, it's weird, it's quite alien type like. And Bill is like, okay, so I need you to tell me, I need you to talk to me, I need you to tell me what the plan here is, and he gets to learn about the plan. And while he's contemplating the plan, this is where he ends up getting attacked by Val. And Val is like, okay, so I leave you two choices. I need you to tell me where Lux is, and or if you don't, I'll kill you. And this is where Bill ends up telling Val that he ended up speaking to the guard, and apparently, from what I can understand, the guard that Bill ended up talking to, it's basically a black void. There is no plan for humanity. Basically, the black void just wants to kill everything, and of course, Bill doesn't want to die. And Bill is like, you know what? I'll do you one better. Why don't I join forces with you? And I'll help you save the world. And of course, Emery is like, do you really think you want to do this? Well, and Val is like, well, we have no other choice. We have to trust Bill. And Bill is like, yeah, let's do this. And I'm okay with this because, as I said, I liked Bill as a villain. So I like the fact that he's just that he isn't being killed off. So it's good. It's a good thing that he's going to stick around. And then while that's happening, we get to see that Lux has basically sent another Bill, the leader of the Nocturnes, the current leader of the Nocturnes, to go out and kill this Bill. So yeah, there are two Bills roaming around, and of course the war is coming near, and I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen next. So the final issue that I read was X-Men at issue number 9 by Jerry Duggan, and it was okay. It was okay. It was basically kind of a slow-paced issue where we saw the three groups, the people from Araco, the people from Krakoa, and Orchis trying to figure out what to do. And basically, Arako and Krakoa put it up to a vote about how they should proceed with dealing with Arcus, and if they should wage war on humanity and whatnot. And of course, Krakoa is like, you know what, we'll wait, let's see what happens. And over at Arako, this was a scene that I really liked because I'm a huge Storm fan. So as Storm is talking to the Quiet Council about how to proceed with Arcus, because Storm is like, we don't need war will find us soon enough. And as the votes are being put in, this is where Arako ends up communicating with Storm, and I really like this scene because Storm, due to her power set, she is able to connect with entire planets, and I really like the fact that with Red Root gone and being trapped in Otherworld, Rocco ended up reaching out to Storm in order to talk to her, and Storm ends up saying that Rocco doesn't want war either. So what should we do? And Tarn is like, well, we can't go and rescue Redroot because if you are Araki, you don't and if you can't escape prison, then that's on you. You need to save yourself. And of course, Arako doesn't like that, and Arako ends up bitch slapping Tarn and knocks Tarn out. I really like this scene. So yeah, Storm is like, well, I've cast my votes as a member of the Quiet Council and as the regent of Sol. She gets 2 votes, and she's like, okay, so we won't be doing any war right now. And I'm like, okay, I guess you all will be waiting around to see what Arcus does. And again, as someone who has been trying to keep up with the X-Men series and what's been happening, I have no idea why the X-Men haven't used all of the reality manipulators and magic manipulators in order to get rid of Arcus, but it is what it is. And also talking about Arcus, they go ahead and they free MODOK because they want to use the chemical that he ended up creating in the previous issue. And apparently Abigail Brand is working for Arcus, and I'm like, yep, Abigail is probably playing a game here. And in this issue, we also saw Gambit and Rogue because they want to learn more information about Game World. Destiny is already there, and Destiny it was a bit humor. Yeah, there was some humor in this scene because Destiny is basically Gambit's mother-in-law, and she doesn't like the fact that Rogue ended up marrying someone like Gambit. And Destiny is like, well, you guys are trying to change the future, but no one has that power, and she just wants Rogue to come back and live with her and Raven. And Rogue is like, no can do. And then we also get to see Sunfire talking to Storm, and he ended up reclaiming a certain area on Arako, and Storm is like, well, other people, our cousins, the Araki, are going to come here and battle you for the place. And yeah, Sunfire is like, well, I'm ready. And this is where Sunfire is like, well, I ended up growing this plant, and I guess Arako ended up taking a liking to it. And Storm is like, yep, it turns out that Arako is basically asking for your help, because from what I understand, I think that Arako wants Sunfire to go to the Otherworld and rescue Redroot. So let's see what happens there. This is where the chapter ended. Again, it was an okay chapter. I'm not necessarily reading the X-Men books right now. I only picked up this issue because Storm was in it. But yeah, if I end up doing written reviews of all of these issues, the link to my review will be down in the comment section below. Let me know which comic books you read this week. And until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys later. Bye.